Leia Seydoux, oh my God, the way she controlled every single scene she was in and also controlled the situation, controlled the performances. And she conveyed such a unique level of emotion when connecting with the human body. And I thought that was really impressive. Hey guys, welcome back to Candid Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today, I will be reviewing the new David Cronenberg film, Crimes of the Future. Now, I'm a fan of the horror genre. Body horror just tends to get under my skin. Haha. But I really do like Cronenberg. I think in this case, he's always able to create a very interesting story that matches with the body horror. And in Crimes of the Future, I think that there wasn't enough of the body horror to make it into a thriller or even have horror elements in it. It was more of a very intricate story that has a messaging in regards to performative art through the expression of our bodies, using our bodies as art. And then essentially the third one that I really enjoyed was the fact that the technology that we have and that it has been evolving will eventually affect us in the future. So the crimes that we commit now, whether it's pollution or anything to do with harming the environment, harming ourselves right now, will affect us in the future. And that's kind of what the metaphor was in Crimes of the Future. And I really liked that. I thought it was a unique concept. And I did like the story for the most part, especially in the first half, because it's all set up in regards to where they're going to go with it in the third act. But unfortunately, the third act didn't really stick the landing, and everything that was set up in the first half didn't really have a payoff in the third act. And I think that that's what upset me the most, because Cronenberg's presenting all of these fantastic ideas and it's so layered, which I really enjoyed. And you're trying to figure out what half of this stuff means. And I'm going to give you guys a little synopsis so it's a bit more clear about what Crimes of the Future is about. So as the human species adapts to a synthetic environment, the body undergoes new transformations and mutations. Accompanied by his partner, celebrity performance artist Saul Tenser, played by Viggo Mortensen, showcases the metamorphosis of his organs. Meanwhile, a mysterious group tries to use Saul's notoriety to shed light on the next phase of human evolution. There are many moving parts to this. I absolutely adored Viggo Mortensen in this. He's always great, but his partner, the one who orchestrates everything and makes it very, very performative, Caprice, who's played by the lovely Leia Seydoux, she can do anything. This woman commands the screen every single time she's in it. And I do think that she is only capable of being a leading role. I don't like her in a supporting role, especially like in No Time to Die. I don't think they gave her enough material in that to actually, flourish as a character. I think she owned it. Yes, Viggo was there. His presence is always great on screen, but Leia Seydoux, oh my God, the way she controlled every single scene she was in and also controlled the situation, controlled the performances. And she conveyed such a unique level of emotion when connecting with the human body. And I thought that was really impressive given what they're actually discussing in that case. And also, I do have to note that Kristen Stewart was in this as Timlin, as someone who's working in the organ donor field and is fascinated with the regenerative way that these organs have been forming within his body and the fact that it's something new and refreshing. And she was fascinated with it. But the thing with Kristen Stewart in this role is that there wasn't enough Kristen Stewart. And you know that there's a character that you really love in a film that when the movie starts like kind of not getting dull, I think that's the wrong word to use, but it's slowing down in the pacing because the writing isn't really doing anything in that case with certain character dynamics. And then Kristen Stewart comes in as this character and like picks up your spirit basically and your attention when she comes in. So they placed her perfectly. I feel like there was a lull when it was just Viggo Mortensen and Welkit Bungwe. I hope I said his name correctly. He plays one of the detectives. I feel like whenever they were having conversations, that's where the story got lost. But you have layers to this thing. So at the beginning of this film, we see a young child and he has I don't want to say a disorder, but it's a very futuristic type of film in regards to the concepts and the world building and what Cronenberg was trying to create. And it was interesting. This is a very interesting film to watch. Again, I really love the messaging in this. So it starts off with this child who ends up eating plastic, and you see him looking out into the water. There's beautiful landscape in Athens, Greece, where they film this, and this kid ends up eating plastic. He ends up brushing his teeth back in his room, and then he eats plastic. And you're fascinated with this. Like, is this kind of like what the first 10 minutes of this movie is going to be? Like, what is this? And then it just gets really dark really fast. Obviously, it's a Cronenberg film, and it makes perfect sense as to why there was this opening later on. And then everything kind of comes together in regards to the kid's storyline and his parents together and all of that. So without spoiling, I don't want to really get into it, but the kid is so important throughout this entire thing. And there wasn't enough connective tissue to the child because they were too busy focusing on the body as performative art. And I like that as well, because again, there is something to say about the film industry and how long David Cronenberg has been in this industry, and he sees these shifts and he sees the technology has really changed the industry entirety, and the way that actors kind of approach these roles and the roles that they're choosing to take instead of these like independent films or these, there's the lower budget films that have some more of like an artistic flair to it. I'm not saying that these mainstream films, these blockbusters don't have an artistic eye in creating them. I'm just saying it's a different level of depth and it's a different level of storytelling, whether it's rooted in realism or, coming up with a brand new concept. It's just the more original content, the better. And I think that he's also speaking to that as well on top of it. I think the most fascinating thing about Crimes of the Future, and I think that this is where it does falter, because he does rely on special effects a bit too much. And it does take away from the realism and authenticity of actually cutting into someone. Like it does take away from it because there were special effects. It didn't feel real. And that's why I was like, oh, that's not really like that scary or grotesque for me. It wasn't like his older stuff where you had the practicality of it. And I think that's what was missing from Crimes of the Future. For me, it just wasn't realistic. And I wasn't like, oh my God, that's so disgusting. Because with body horror, I usually just like, oh my God, like I tense up and I cringe because just it's gross, especially like with movies like Titan from Juliette Ducournau. I was freaking out in that movie just because of what was happening to her body. And in this case, it was more of just like the use of special effects kind of took me out of it. But there is a level of sensuality that comes with these surgeries with like Caprice, which is Lea Seydoux, and Viggo Mortensen. They feed off of like the cuts and how intimate it is. And that is the translation to sex that they have now, because sex has changed in regards to maybe the sensation of, your organs and how you don't feel it in the same way. So you have to feel it in a different way. So all of that is explored. I'm giving you guys so much. And it's really difficult to kind of settle on one specific topic that he's exploring in Crimes of the Future. So I think that was just the misstep. There's so many things to analyze in this film, and I really enjoyed it for what it was, but there were too many lulls in between trying to connect all of these things, especially in the third act. It was trying to like get to an ending. And then that's where the kid comes in. That's where the other cult comes in. And he tried to tie everything together, but there was no payoff, sadly. And that was my issue with Crimes of the Future. I really thought it was filmed incredibly well. The direction is great. And again, it's an original story. It's an original story. It's an original concept. It's futuristic, has great messaging. And I think that that's why I enjoyed it for the most part. This cast is absolutely superb. And it's also funny. I think that this has more of a story than the focus on like how grotesque that it can get, or like, I don't understand why people walked out of Crimes of the Future at Cannes. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me because it wasn't that bad. I've seen worse than that. So it just, I don't know. I thought it was more artistic and I thought it wasn't as gruesome as other films in the subgenre. So I gave Crimes of the Future 3 out of 5. It does come out this Friday. If you're a fan of Cronenberg, I think you'll really enjoy this as another piece of his filmography. If you want something unique with an original concept, then this is the way to go this weekend for sure. So let me know what your favorite David Cronenberg film is down in the comments below. I've only watched Videodrome, and I'm just so sad that I just said that I only watched Videodrome. I do want to watch more of his stuff because he's Canadian, and it was really nice that the TIFF Bell Lightbox offered this screening and Q&A to members. So we had the cast there, and we had David Cronenberg there, and it was really fun to kind of just sit there with him and have him talk about Crimes of the Future and his very lengthy career. So that was really awesome. So shout out to TIFF for offering that opportunity for so many of us. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.